The Against All Odds podcast, sponsored by Oak Forest Recovery.
Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I am your host, Rachel, here with co-host RJ, and we have Shay Thomas in the building today. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for coming, Shay.
Of course. Thank you for
So
having
you
me.
came from Huntington Beach?
Huntington Beach.
Is
yes.
that where you're from originally?
I am from Orange County. I'm from Laguna Beach.
Oh my God,
So,
Laguna Beach. Did you know the people on the show?
I did.
Oh my God, get out of here. Really?
Yes.
Did you go to school with them and stuff?
No, I went to Santa Margarita for volleyball, but I grew up with all of them in town.
Oh, that's so exciting. I
Yeah.
loved Laguna Beach back in the day. It was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, it's good.
Right.
So let's
So
Laguna is
you're in
awesome.
recovery, right?
I am in recovery. I'm
Right.
coming up on 11 years in April.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so
Congrats.
tight.
So,
So
yep.
where did it start? How did it start in Laguna? Where did the
Let's go to
in
Baby
Laguna,
Shay.
Here we go. No, so I grew up in Laguna Beach in Three Arch Bay. My upbringing I didn't have like some crazy thing from the start. I really just like to go out and party.
Mhm.
And so it pretty much just started when I was, I don't know, around probably like 11, 12, I would kind of get into like drinking alcohol at the house. My
Like
friends
stealing your parents'
Yes.
liquor.
Yes, because they would have get-togethers at the house. So it was
Yeah.
really it just looked appealing, like fun. So I would just start kind of by drinking here and there. And then I realized I just really liked the feeling of being under the influence. And so I just went from that to experimenting with cocaine and just kind of went straight to it and
what age?
weed and all the things, and I would go out and party a lot. And then I got myself in a situation where I was under the influence and I was sexually taken advantage of. So from that point, I didn't know how to deal with what was going on with me emotionally. And even though I was very close, so I lived with my stepdad and my mom. My parents separated when I was like 3 years old. My dad was traveling a lot. He played for the New York Rangers at the time. So we were kind of all over the place when I was really young. And my dad wasn't really like a consistent person in my life, but my stepdad was. So I did kind of have issues with that at a young age. So I feel like there was definitely like feelings of not getting that love or like feeling that worth from my own father, although I had that with my stepdad. So there was definitely like some weird, things going on with that where I was trying to get that other places, so going back to after, the situation that I went through.
How old were you when all this happened?
So I was around 13 years old when I like the sexual situation.
Yeah.
I was 14. I was 13 when I started doing harder drugs.
Wow.
So and then when I was going out partying, all that happened.
And was it with other 13-year-olds? Or were you hanging out with like
No,
older
I hung
kids?
out with older kids.
Yeah.
So I was partying a lot, hanging out. Pretty much almost all my friends were older, except a few girlfriends. So then after that, I started doing bad things, like criminal activity already. So I was just like really
Just
kind
imagining
of
Laguna Beach,
I know.
13, 14 years old, criminal activity.
I was like really just, taking it to the next level, like fulfilling myself, like that high of adrenaline and everything.
Risk taking and just
and also my stepdad, he was a pain doctor, so there was like medication like samples in the house. So I remember I first took an Oxycontin and I didn't know what it was. And I remember I was at this like church camp thing. It wasn't a camp. It was like the youth groups that they had. And I remember throwing up everywhere because I took one and I immediately was just like, sick. But that was definitely when I realized that I loved opiates. Like that was the thing that I loved, was even feeling sick. I loved that.
Yeah.
So then I just kind of was continuing, to do drinking and all this stuff. I started getting in trouble in school. I already went from like Thurston and Laguna, that was a middle school, to St. Catherine's. And then I got in trouble there, and I was kind of just going from school to school. I did play volleyball. So that was like one of the things that I, focused on was just playing volleyball. And so I did end up going to Santa Margarita. They wanted me to play varsity as a freshman, and that was kind of like my focus.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. But I was still getting in trouble. I was still struggling. I wasn't really dealing with these issues. My dad did end up leaving and moving to Florida when I was 15 years old. So this all happened my freshman year. And then I ended up getting in trouble. I stole a Hummer. It was one of our friends in Dana
like an
Point.
H2?
Yeah, it was this huge yellow one that I remember. I did. Well, it's a long story. He was like messing with my girlfriend. He was older, and it's still like this story in our area because it was like I was so young and just like crazy, and this guy was like supposedly so crazy. You know, this guy was like part of his little Dana Point gang at the time that they had, and I ended up just taking his Hummer, and the cops came to my house, and my parents were just like, what is going on, and
had they been suspicious of anything up until that point?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They there was times, there was like Doheny days down in Dana Point. I came home like super stoned, and they took my door off, like back then they did everything that they could to try, but we didn't really have like good communication as close as I was with my mom. And I feel like a lot of that is how they grew up, like seeing how my grandma was with my mom. And I know my stepdad didn't have like the best upbringing. Like he put himself through medical school. Like he, in my eyes, is just like such a badass. Like I love my stepdad. He really like, he had a hard childhood, and he just, he became so successful and just killed it in life. But even that, the lack of like communication, back then, I feel like I didn't feel like I could talk to them about stuff. So that was part of like so many of the issues. I kind of was just keeping everything inside and, going from just trying to numb myself really. But a lot of it wasn't like I was just so unhappy. I was still having fun too, but I didn't know how to cope with anything. And then obviously you mix that with hanging out with the wrong crowd, and then you start fulfilling yourself with people telling you you're so cool doing this and that, and it's all in the wrong ways, So by that time, my parents were like, well, we really don't know what to do with you. And back then it was very popular to send your kids to these like ranches, to get help, in the middle of nowhere, like wilderness ranch. So I was sent to one, and it was in Wyoming, and it was called Trinity Teen Solutions. And so I was sent there on a private jet with my parents, and then basically stripped of everything. It was a very abusive place. So it's shut down now. But that was something that I later like had to deal with, because again, it was I was so young. You're just in this. Yes. And so I was only 15, about to turn 16 when I was sent there. And so I didn't even like earn a cot for a year. It was very emotionally just,
How long were you there for?
2 years.
2 years.
Oh, wow. That's a
so
long
I
time.
came back when I was 18, and I knew, and I wasn't even supposed to come home. I was going on a visit,
and
I knew,
convinced them.
Yeah. Well, no, I just wasn't going to go back. I knew I was 18, and there was nothing they can do. But it was just, they wouldn't give you the right amount of food. I got in trouble for stealing food, like down, because it's a ranch. So you work on a ranch, and you do irrigation, and you take care of the animals, and you do, you build everything there. But they had this thing called like Holy Cowgirl every week, where you sit there and they basically tell you like everything wrong with you. You're tied to another female. You don't get any, privacy. You don't get a shower. You'll earn a shower. And like when you're on your period, they didn't give me like tampons or anything. So you would basically be just like
free bleeding.
Yes. And then you would get in trouble if you're, not clean and stuff. It was just very
fucked up.
Very crazy.
Listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, you know what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy, and the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone, using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
And there's still a huge court case going on. And I was actually like super bummed with that because there's like a 10-year, what is it called?
Statute of
limitation.
Yeah.
And the girl who did the lawsuit went way later than me. And she actually reached out to me, I did finally make my report to the like detective in charge, because this was another thing in my recovery later on that I just kind of kept moving forward with. And I never really, I wouldn't say I didn't deal with it, because, when you're doing the steps and everything, you go back and kind of, work through it with your therapist or a sponsor or whatever. But I kind of just like shut that chapter because it was such a long time ago. And I just kind of had that survival deal. I never really talked about it, honestly, till probably like 4 years ago, when this all kind of came up again, when it got shut down and we had to like, whatever. So anyway, but I was kind of like irritated that there was nothing that I could do, because the girl, she was there for a shorter period of time. And I was just like, well, in your mind, you're like, well, you didn't go through this and that. Although her experience obviously was really messed up too, as all the girls are,
Wow, 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I've talked to so many people that have gone to wilderness camps.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of some being 2 years.
2 years.
Oh,
is
yeah.
crazy.
That's a long time.
I mean, it took forever just to get to the next level. Like I was there on like the first level for probably 7 months. Like I didn't even earn to sleep on a cot for almost a year. Like I slept on the ground.
On the floor.
Yeah.
Wow.
On a wood floor. And you would like run in the snow. It's like 30 below there. Like Wyoming weather is like so crazy.
Right.
And you have to understand too, like I came from, my parents were pretty wealthy. So for me, it was
great
like
life in Laguna. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I'm just like, you had to pee and go to the restroom in a bucket. Like you didn't even earn a toilet for a long time. And so it was just like, but that's also why jail later was not scary for me.
No. Like I'm prepared for this. Actually,
I was like,
jail's great.
I was like, you get food, a bed. Like this is great. I wasn't. That's unfortunately later on. It wasn't bad. I was like, I'm fine here. Like this. I don't have to do all these chores. Like I don't have to. So so I ended up finding out that I was coming home because I did have sexual relations with one of the staff members, which in my mind, it was like a survival thing to understand when information of when I was going home, because they didn't even let me do my first visit to California. They had me go to Aspen, where my parents' other house was, because they wanted to keep me like from California.
For sure. Yeah.
So, once I was 18, I found out I was going back home. And then I was just like, I'm never going back there. And I ended up telling my parents. I mean, they could tell I was like not well, and also they controlled like when you spoke with your parents, like once you get to a higher level, the last level, you get to talk to them every Sunday, but they listen to your phone call. So, if you're telling them stuff or giving them hints, like you'll get punished. And then before that, it was just letters. So they read everything. Right. So it's like hard, because it was a difficult conversation to have with my parents, because if they would have known, what was going on. And I feel like when you've been there so long and they manipulate you so much, you get to the point where you just say what needs to be said, and you're trying to convince yourself you're fine and you're not, Right. So then coming home, at a certain
point, you just feel like you're trapped.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I better just get with
you just have to do what you have to do. Right. And so So then I come home and I don't go like straight to drugs or anything like that, but I definitely am just like so emotionally messed up and I don't know like what's up and what's down. I don't even know how I really feel because I kind of just had to become this person that I really don't even know who she is. So, then I just, I start drinking, just kind of going out, getting in relationships that aren't healthy. Like they're just, again, I'm attracting kind of people that of where I'm at because I'm not even like, I don't really have a foundation of who I want to attract or who I am because I'm so lost. So I just kind of get in these really unhealthy relationships. And then eventually I start getting in trouble. So I get, my first DUI. So that was my first time, getting arrested. And then shortly after that, I got an assault and battery. And then the list kind of just like goes on. And then I meet my daughter's dad, who also struggled with substance abuse and he was selling drugs at the time. So that kind of got me back into, the pills and everything like that. And not to mention because of Wyoming and like playing volleyball, I have all these like injuries. Like I have lower back disc issues from like carrying hay bales and all this stuff. It's like very hard labor. I mean, you would wake up at 5 a.m. and you would be working until the evening.
God, that's so wild.
Yeah. So a lot of
crazy experience.
Yeah. And then just like sleeping on the floor, just like everything,
Yeah.
So now I'm, and this is like when Oxycontin and Opiates and all this is coming out, and I have like legit reasons. Like I had rotator cuff surgery, like all this. So going to the doctor, it's very easy for me to get these medications. So now I'm getting prescribed Opiates, Norcos, Oxys, Adderall. I mean, the list, I literally was like a pharmacy, like it was crazy. So now I'm taking these. I end up getting, my second DUI. Now, they're wanting me to go to treatment because it's like now the list is kind of going on. So I end up starting to go to treatment.
How old are you at this point?
I think I'm like 20, I would say, because I got my first DUI. I was under the age of drinking. So I used my sister's ID, which she was not happy about. My sister's never been in trouble in her life, and she had assault and battery that I used on her. And obviously, they figured it out fast. It wasn't her, but she's like, "Are you kidding me? Literally never been in trouble." Yeah, my poor sister.
Wait, can we get into the assault and battery story? What happened there?
So he was the owner of Chronic Cantina, and he was rude to one of my girlfriends. He like slapped her ass, and so I punched him outside of his club, and so he pressed charges on me. So that was my first assault battery because I have two. So so that was just pretty. I mean, I know him to this day, and we're fine. But it was like, who presses charges though? I'm like literally such a pussy. But anyway, we're good. So that happened. That was when I was like 18. And then and then I got my DUI. I get like the time period. There's just like so much stuff. Such a mess. But my second DUI, I think I'm like 21, maybe 22. And I also had a bunch of pills on me. So I end up going to, where did I go the first? NTS, I think, in Costa Mesa. That was my first treatment. I ended up not completing it while I was there. I actually got in trouble. I had like a party in one of the dorms. And
at the rehab.
Yes, because you have like separate homes.
Okay.
And I was so young then. And I still know the owner, one of the owners of that place, who's like, you were like literally the worst. So good to see you on the other side though. And so then I ended up getting another charge while I was there for drug sales. So I got in a car accident and I ended up having these pills on me. I threw them out of the car. And obviously they were able to collect everything. And then they looked through my phone. So they found, intent to sell, transportation, all that. So now I'm getting, 6 months in jail. Well, a year. I had to do 6 months. So I did that, and then
What was that experience like for you?
it was whatever. I mean, I was fine. Honestly, ever since like I went through what I went through at Trinity, like jail was never really scary to me, sadly. Like it just, I was fine with doing time, which is just, it's sad.
I've seen first, I've got to meet clients that have come, you know, through finding O'Forest through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning, and then I've seen them, you know, at Bonfire or after, and seen like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having. And this new, you know, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
Were you dope sick in there?
I feel like I was always dope sick.
Yeah.
Like I just, you know, it wasn't anything like crazy. They did put me in like the mental area where I was like on 24-hour lockdown that time because I was on so many medications. Like besides the pain meds, I was on like Lexapro, Risperdal, Klonopin, like because of all.
Yeah, this cocktail of just substances.
Because of the drug use, and I had really bad anxiety ever since I was super young. That was something I kind of, I forgot to mention. I had anxiety when I was like probably like 12, 13. It kind of came out of like nowhere. It was before the sexual situation I went through. And we didn't really know like why. They thought maybe it was like, because I wouldn't be experiencing something to where it would come on and I would like hyperventilate, you know? And so they put me on medication like extremely young. Like I was on Lexapro. That was like kind of like a mood stabilizer. And then I had Klonopin for an emergency. Like if I was, if I was,
I wonder if it's like I was on Prozac by the time I was 12 and like other things. And I wonder if it has something to do with like puberty and stuff too.
It could like cause it was just so bad and so severe. And then obviously like as I went through like my life experiences, it definitely got
worse,
way worse, you know? And so, and then I didn't know how to function without my medication. So then I didn't always take everything correctly. Like you're supposed to take everything at the right times so then it's like all these other issues came. And then when you mix that with like my drug issues and not sleeping or whatever, now I'm like schizophrenic because now they're telling me I'm like, you know, so then they're like, you need to take Risperdal. And I'm like, and then they told me I was like bipolar. And mind you, I take nothing now. I haven't been on anything my whole sobriety, but I was on a list of medications. So that time that I was arrested, I was in like the psych, like medical area and they like never let you out. Oh yeah. They only let you out for like an hour and they play like the TV on static. I swear they want you to go crazy. They like want you to fight. I did get in a fight there. I was actually in the hole for a while. I'll never forget my sister saw, she came to visit me and she was like, cause then I was yellow banded. I don't know if you know like the different, but I swear they do things to like get you to react.
I feel like they probably do.
Yeah. The cops are crazy.
What was it like being put in the hole? What was that like? What did that feel like?
I mean, you just kind of sleep the whole time. Like there was,
how long
you know,
were you?
I think it was only like a day and a half. You don't really know,
Yeah,
it's kind of like, but it wasn't like anything
nighttime.
But then when I came back, Amber, my sister, visited me and she's like, oh my gosh, of course I'm like shackled. And then I come and I have the yellow band and she's like, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just crazy experiences because I still know all the girls too because we were, so many of us are sober now. Yeah. But we went through like the cycle of in and out of custody. So like when we talk about those times, we're just like so thankful to be on the other end because every time we'd go in, we'd see each other. We're just like, here we are, you know, it's only been 6 months, but it is so amazing. Like even at my son's baby shower, like there was a group of girls that I was either in custody with or did drug court with. And we all like have made it to the other side. And it's like that bond though, that you have with them. It's just like, cause you go through hell together, you know, like it's just, I mean, jail is, I mean, you know, you get through it, but it's not fun.
No.
And you're emotionally going through stuff the whole time you're there.
Right.
And so I don't know, but, so in that time I was sober in jail. There was a lot of times where I was still using while I was in custody because it wasn't, I mean, when you know people in there, it's pretty easy actually to get drugs.
Yeah.
So,
had you been to like rehab or anything
Yes.
up until this point? Okay.
no,
Yeah,
yeah. So I
that
went to
dorm
NTS,
place.
Oh,
that one
right.
place. And
Yes,
then,
and then
That's
you
where
were
she
throwing
got
the
the sales
parties.
job.
yeah,
That's where
yeah,
you got-
yeah.
right, right.
While I was,
In rehab, selling.
Yeah.
so then I get out, and I still have to do a program. So that's when I was sentenced then to go to Nancy Clark, which is like, it's in Costa Mesa as well. No, I didn't go there yet. No, I'm trying to think because no. So then I get out, I get arrested again. I get arrested the same night with my daughter's dad.
The same night that you get
Yeah,
out?
we got, no. We got arrested together for separate charges.
Got it.
So this is, so I got the second DUI after the drug sales. And see, that's why I'm like,
It's a lot going on.
So that's when I got it. We were leaving Sutra. I ended up getting pulled over. That is when I got my second DUI. He ended up beating the taxi driver up from when the taxi came to get him from my DUI. So we end up both getting arrested. I get out. I am ordered. If I go, I have to go to Nancy Clark, this facility. I think it was for like 6 months. I had to go there in order to not do more jail time. So I get out. I ended up ODing there. I had to get taken out on a stretcher. I took like way too many pills. So then she doesn't want me in her program anymore. And that's when I then go to, what is that one place called? It's also in Costa Mesa. I've gone to like a group of treatment programs. I'm trying to think of it. Plummer Street. So I go to Plummer Street. I have to do 6 months there. While I'm there, I do complete the program, but I wasn't sober.
So are you getting stuff in there?
I mean, and I'm also still close with the owner there. I don't even know if he knows how much I was using there, but he like really wanted me to do well. Like he was like so amazing. And I wasn't like using the whole time. I kind of like learned when they would drug test and stuff. And I was just very manipulative. But I was doing heroin by then, you know? So yeah, I was just like, I wasn't sober, but I ended up completing the program. And then, and while I was there, I did get arrested again when we went on an outing because they didn't put in the court system. You know, when you go from one treatment center to another and it says like you're technically like on the run or whatever. Well, when I went to the OC fair with one of the girls, she ended up having like expired plates or whatever. And so we ended up getting pulled over.
And they ran all of your
and they
names.
ran. And then I had a warrant technically. So then I'm with the rehab and I'm like, no, I'm in rehab.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? So I ended up getting arrested at the OC fair with my treatment center. I obviously got out as but that was like a whole other thing. And then shortly after that, I end up getting pregnant with my daughter, London. So during that time, I was sober. Like I was like, I can't use, but it's like, I'm still like not good. You know what I mean? Like I'm not using, but I have like no foundation of how to be sober, how to stay sober. And, you know, her dad just got into UFC. So at that time, it was like a very fast-paced lifestyle. So I had London and we had a lot of help and we were just kind of like partying. So we were traveling for his fights and all this stuff. And our relationship was never healthy, mind you, either. Like it was like, you know, there was cheating and just like, I feel like after we had London, we thought we were better. But again, there was like, he's unhealthy, I'm unhealthy. There's just like shady behavior. And so that doesn't last long into, I think when she's like 1.5, everything just is horrible. Like we separate drug use is back. I try to justify it by not using when I'm with her, but using when I'm not with her. And then shortly after that, I get arrested again for like probation violations of, you know, using and stuff like that.
What caused you to choose to become a part of the Oak Forest team?
The first time you came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family. These are my best friends now. And I immediately felt very drawn to the Oak Forest community. I think it's really beautiful, from just the bonfire meeting and people not even necessarily needing to go through Oak Forest to go to that. And then also knowing that they have this safe community, or if someone needs help, they can go through this program that has changed so many lives. I love that it's like a family and tribe, like you call it. From seeing how many people have gone through there and then decide to work at Oak Forest and help others and want to stay in that community because they love it so much, I think that's truly something I haven't seen anywhere else.
I get out. I have London. We are now separated. We're living in separate homes. I actually moved to Huntington, and this is where I first met my husband. Mm-hmm. But we didn't like hang out. Like, I looked crazy then. Like, I was literally like, not only, you know, was I figuring out like how to be a mom, I was newly separated from this like very crazy marriage, and all the drama was like online. You know what I mean? Like, he was doing everything to break me down with his like platform, making me look crazy. I mean, he even said I like cheated on him with another fighter, which wasn't true. He was just doing like everything in his power to break me down, you know, and then also like replace me with other women that had like wanting London to call them mom, just like evil, crazy stuff, you know? So I'm like trying to, and we're in a custody stuff. So I'm like trying to stay strong, but also again, I have no tools on how to, you know? So my addiction gets worse. I start, you know, doing meth now. And I never really did meth. I kept ODing. Within this time, I've OD'd 13 times, like hospitalized, like just really, because the problem with heroin is it's like when you just fall asleep.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like no
know.
one's like, you're not like remembering what everyone else is like going through around you. You just wake up in the hospital like, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And now you just, you know, you just want to continue. So yeah. So now we're just kind of, I'm just kind of lost trying to figure this out in this crazy custody battle. I end up dating this guy, David, not this David, a different David. And we're just kind of like the worst for each other. Like, he's struggling with his addiction. And so I end up kind of taking things to the next level, heroin, meth, you know, but not when I have London. That's like my justification.
How would you go about that? Like, how would you not be?
So he would have, when Ian would have London, that's when I would kind of like party hard. And then when I would have her, I wouldn't do it. And then sometimes like when she would be sleeping, that's when I would kind of like justify, oh, well, she's sleeping. I can do some, but it would just be like a very little bit. In my mind, this is how I'm like,
and that makes sense. You know, when you,
it. Yeah. So one night I end up doing that and I end up ODing again. And so I lost all custody of London. Yeah. And
was somebody there? Like,
yes, David was there.
David
my
was there.
Ex,
He sees you OD.
Yeah. So that's when it was fentanyl, and so I ended up ODing. He tried to shoot me up with meth to bring me back. It wasn't happening. Oh my God, dude. So he ends up calling the ambulance. I obviously make it, but it's obviously a reporter now at this point. So they,
CPS
you know,
shows up.
CPS shows up. So now I'm in a CPS, you know, that's involved. I lose custody of her. So now I really lose my mind. I'm like, I don't even know what to do, because she was like my only, like, that was like, she was like my worth of trying anything that I had at that point. Like, she was like my only hope, because it was just like years of using, and like horrible relationships. And I had like no self-worth. I didn't even know who I was. Like I really had no idea who I was. I just knew I was a mom and her mom, and that's all I wanted to be, but I had no idea how to be it.
Right.
And now I lost her, you know, and in my ex, he like celebrates that. Like he's not one that's like,
no, for
hey,
sure.
let's try to get you help. We did this together, right? We both were. He's just really good at hiding it, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, oh, let's figure this out. It was like, no, we want to kick you when you're down.
Yeah.
So I, you know, start getting into really bad criminal activity. I'm hanging out with like pretty crazy people. A lot of home invasions, and I end up stealing another car. And then I'm at Walmart in Aliso Viejo, and I also have a gun on me and just all kinds of crazy stuff. So now I have a felony warrant out because I have a Mercedes. And I was so high, I didn't even take the low jack out. Like I was like literally just like, I changed the license plate with a Sharpie number, like as if they wouldn't even know like what, like that doesn't look suspect. Like I'm so high on meth. Like I didn't sleep for, I don't know how long. I had the police radio in my house, like all crazy. Like people are looking for me. Well, they really were.
Yeah,
they really were though. Like I mean, I was doing a lot. I mean, I'm grateful I got stopped for what I got stopped for instead of like other stuff I was doing. Yeah. So I was at Walmart. There's like 10 cop cars that show up. I ended up getting tackled in Walmart. Like it was like a crazy thing. So now I'm arrested. I have the stolen Mercedes and the gun. Luckily I didn't have any bullets in there, but it was just bad. So now I'm looking at like 8 years because they didn't get me for receiving a stolen car. That was what they knew, you know, to get me for. Well, that was what I fought for. Receiving.
Like you didn't steal it.
No, by the time they realized it was gone, it was the next morning. So we'll just go with that, you know? So yes. So now I'm looking at a lot of time though, just because I have a list of stuff at this point and they're just so over me. Oh, and I got another assault and battery within that time, which he later had to pay for that girl's broken arm. Cause I got like restitution stuff later that came in the mail for that. But so now, and I got a third DUI. See, that's what I mean. There was like,
there's a lot.
There's just like, so within that time period, that's right. Because that's what they were running everything concurrent. Around that time that I was in Huntington was when the list kind of like started going and I got out on bail. And so I was already fighting that. And then this happened. So now, so I'm in custody. One of my friends that I've known forever, she was in drug court in this program. And I was like, okay, well, I want to try to sit in on one of those programs because at this time, like all I wanted was to get better. Like I wanted that for a while. I just had no idea how to do it. Like I would try to not do drugs and it was like impossible almost. Like I just felt sick. I didn't know how to emotionally deal with anything. Everyone I was hanging out with was doing that. It was like all in that circle of people. So I was just like, I didn't even know how to do it, but I wanted it. So I would sit in drug court. I think it was like every week they let me, because I was in custody. So they would let me go and observe. And Lori Dyer, the probation officer, she already knew who I was. And she like absolutely did not want me in her program. And because I had drug sales, they don't normally, if you have assault and batteries and drug sales, there was like a rule then at that time that they didn't want you in their program because you're like a violent offender and they don't want you to give drugs to their drug addicts. You know, it's like whatever.
For sure,
So I was sitting in there and one of my friends, she actually like stood up and talked to Judge Anderson and was like, I know Shay very well. Like, please give her a chance. She was almost graduating at that point. I think she only had like a month left. And, you know, so I spoke and I was just like, please, I really want this. And again, the PO just like hated me. But then there was like Prop 47, I think it's what it was that passed that they started allowing other charges into programs. I don't remember exactly what it was called. So I was like very lucky. And I still had to do a year in custody though. And then I was able to go into drug court. But basically they're like, if you mess this up, you have this much time over your head.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was
so
really
this year that you're going to spend, you better do it right.
Yeah. So it was, so I had to do that year in custody, and then, which I only had to do 6 months because it's halftime.
Yeah.
So I did 6 months, and then I got out, and I went to this facility called the Gary House while I'm in drug court. So I think I had to do, it was either 4 or 6 months also. And so that was basically where you know, all the work starts. But on top of it, you're still doing all the drug court stuff, like the meetings and everything like that. Yeah. Plus, I'm also in custody court, and I have social workers.
In your experience with treatment, how special is Oak Forest?
Oak Forest is very special. I've had my fair share of treatment experiences. I've even worked in treatment myself. And Oak Forest is like something I've never really experienced before. And I think that it's almost something that like cannot be replicated anywhere else, at least from what I've seen, right? And so it's just like this community and the love and the support that goes from the beginning of the process, and not even just with the clients, with the families, with everything else. Like everything that I have seen goes above and beyond. And like beyond, even as like all of these people are being employed long after they have completed treatment, right? And I think that right there says everything.
So my daughter like had to visit me while I was in custody, which was very hard. That was like one of the hardest things I ever had to go through with the social worker or my mom, because it was just like having to face everything, you know? And I know there was like, I struggled a lot in the beginning because my self-worth was so low that it was almost like part of me was like, okay, does London deserve a better life without me? Like, am I that big of a piece of shit? And that was something that I really struggled with. And I'm like, no, you know what? If you change your life now and do all the work, like you never have to go back to this. Right. And so I just kept telling myself that. And I'm like, you just have to do it like one step at a time, even like 1 hour at a time, you know? And so, so I had a lot on my plate. I didn't have a license, obviously. I had DUI classes. I had all the drug court. I had to wear a drug patch for my custody court, and plus I had to get drug tested 3 times a week.
What's a drug patch?
So they put a patch on you, and basically it will detect if you do any drugs. Okay. And that was for my custody court hearing. But I loved all this because I wanted everything possible on paper to show that I'm sober, especially against my ex. Such a long
history of not staying sober,
and especially against my ex at the time. It was like, no, I want like everything possible, you know. So I had that, and then obviously I had, with CPS, I had to do like I would start with like an hour. It would start with visitations with her, and then it would go to like 4 hours, and then 5 hours. And it was hard because in the beginning she didn't really want to be with me. You know, like she it's not like she started opening up, but it was a lot for me to face and sit with, that I, because even in my addiction, we were so close. Right. And then within that time of me being in custody and her being away and not knowing what was going on and who knows what was in her ear, it was not saying that those weren't my own issues, but you get what I'm saying.
And how old is she when you came back? How old?
She was 4 when I got sober. Yeah. So she actually doesn't remember anything. Yeah. And I did a lot of work, therapy, even when she was young, to kind of see if she like emotionally went through stuff, because I wanted to like fix everything, you know? And it is a blessing that I, was able to turn my life around as she was still so young, and we have an amazing, amazing relationship now. But it was a lot of work. Drug court is a lot of work. I was in there for 2 years, and my PO was very hard on me, like which I look at as a blessing now, but she was crazy. I mean, she would be coming to my house with cops and, and searching my place and everything. But
You
but
probably
back
needed
to,
high
oh yeah,
accountability.
yeah. And also while I was in custody, my boyfriend at the time, David, he died. So that was like another thing that I like had to deal with. I was just like, he OD'd.
Overdose?
Yeah, overdose.
Wow.
And so I had a lot of guilt with that too, because I actually hung up on him because he relapsed and he was around some of my friends that were using. And he just, again, like I probably would have been in the same situation if I didn't get in trouble, but I was pissed and I hung up on him. And then I just had like this crazy guilt and being sober and like having to deal with that. It was really a lot. So then into my recovery, like a year into my sobriety in drug court, I actually met David. And he reached out to me on David now, my husband. I'm like, it gets, well, I'm like pointing to him, but I don't even know. Like, they're not going to know. I'm like,
The
you know, the camera's not going to know. He's behind me. But yeah. And so he was striving to be sober and he was in Thailand and he went there, you know, to get clean. And I'm like, oh, great. Here we go, you know, but he came back and we started hanging out and we just had like this instant connection. And I know they're always like, okay, don't date anyone in your sobriety, you know? And, but I just like saw so much of myself in him. Like it's like he was just stuck in that cycle. Like I just was a year prior, but, and he wanted it so bad. And you could tell he had such a life outside of all of it. You know what I mean? But it did get a little tricky there because obviously I'm in drug court and he was using and then not using and using. And I'm like, okay, I can't be around this if you're not going to get clean, you know, especially with some of the crazy stuff he was doing. As much as I tried to turn, you know, I was like a blind eye. I was like to it all. I knew what was going on because my PO was on me. Like she would be coming to the house and I actually because I had to say who I was dating and I actually gave her a false name because I knew.
Shit.
Yes.
Wow.
I said he was David Jones because people called him Jones. And she found this out later because his PO ended up being the one right next to her.
Yeah.
But I was already out of drug court. So
You were safe.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy, all of it.
Yeah.
I know you're supposed to be honest, but anyway. So, you know, into my sobriety, I was like already a year clean when I met him. And so I was doing my stuff in drug court. And then I ended up telling him, like, if you don't go get clean, like we can't be together. I'm not gonna like be around that. I'm not gonna have my daughter around it. So he ended up making the decision to go get clean. And shortly after that, he comes back. He's doing amazing. We end up getting engaged. And then shortly after that, I end up getting pregnant with Dakota. And so, yeah, like from there on, we just like, we continued to, you know, work a program and I graduate November 2nd, which is on my eldest daughter's birthday from drug court. And I was, I think, a month out of having Dakota. I was like huge. And then ever since then, we continue to do the work to better ourselves. And I was, I've been working through my CADACT. I was working in treatment. I worked at a few different facilities because I definitely love like giving back and helping people. And I had to like put that on hold a few times just because of having babies and the emotional stuff that goes into that. Like at the end of the day, I was like,
That's
oh my gosh,
lot.
I felt like selfish in a way taking on people because I was emotionally spent, like dealing with everything. But I finished all my schooling, everything. Now I just have to take the test for my CADAC. So,
That's so
we
exciting.
definitely want to dive back into that, like with him doing fitness. And we feel like they kind of go hand in hand and helping people like physically and emotionally and with drug addiction, if that's what their, issues are. But so that's just kind of
that's
where
great.
we're at now.
Wait. So you mentioned that there was a girl whose arm broke?
Oh yeah. So so I was actually country dancing, and I was in Dana Point again. I feel like all these issues happen there. And so I was with one of my friends, one of my guy friends, and we were out just country dancing. And so I was gonna leave the place, and my car was parked. It was like double parked, like this. It was blocking this other car.
Yeah.
And so my friend took my keys, like thinking he was being funny, blah, 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 blah. Well, there was a guy and two girls that were in that car, and they were like drunk and pissed off. And I'm like, hey, like, sorry, I'm trying to get my keys. He, just, there was nothing I could do. Like my friend thought he was being a silly little goose. And I was like, well, you're not being that silly because they're getting pissed off. So I ended up getting in a fight with all three of them. And I end up taking the girl down. Her arm breaks. I run. Okay. So I run. My friend ends up getting my car. I leave the scene. I go to my house. 2 days later, the detectives come to my house, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I know my ex had a part in this because everyone kind of knows everyone in our area. And because he texts me, he was like, oh, so now you're out fighting and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, you're a rat.
Yeah.
But I mean,
listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy, and the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone, using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
but I was like, they fully hit me first, and then it was like
then it was all turned
can
on
say
you.
on my kids, like, I tried to walk away from this fight.
Yeah.
And it was like they were acting crazy, and then we got in a fight, and I didn't even realize I broke her arm until later because I left. I ran.
Yeah.
And then my friend took my car and got home, and I thought I was okay, but it was just like, of course.
Yeah.
She found out who I was, and then detectives came to my house, and then I ended up getting charges for that. And then later I had to pay for her medical bills. So
Oh my God.
I know. I was like, that's awesome. I was just trying to country dance.
Yeah.
You know? Great.
So what does a day in the life look like for you today?
Today,
11 years into
well,
sobriety.
You know, we're trying to be influencers. No, David's doing his fitness stuff. So honestly, lately we've been challenging ourselves to do like content to get his stuff out there, which is not easy for us because I'm naturally like introverted and I could take pictures all day, but when it comes to talking in the camera, it's harder for me, you know, especially when you're around kids all the time. I feel like you're talking to young children and you're like, okay, how do I put sentences together? Yeah. But so we've been really trying to think of like content for him to build, you know, with his fitness and stuff. And that's where I also got back into finishing my KDAC stuff. Because, you know, we both have that passion of just like wanting to help people and give back and work in the sober community. So that's kind of like day to day. Obviously, I have 3 kids at home. We have, you know, Jaden, he's going to be 4 in June. And then we have Dakota, she's 8. And then we have my eldest, London. Yeah. And she's 14. So she's homeschooled, my eldest one, and she helps a lot with Jaden. And then Dakota's in regular school. And then we just, besides just their life, we're just trying to build, you know, with his fitness and then me completing my KDAC, so then we can, you know, help people. I feel like that's where like our passion is.
Yeah,
That's rad.
I feel that.
Doing that.
Yeah.
So.
If you had one piece of advice for someone who's going through the same things that you were going through, you know, over a decade ago, what would it be?
I would just say, I know it's always like one day at a time, but really that was so important for me because I future tripped and I had such a long list of things that I needed to fix and complete down to like drug court, DUI stuff, classes, breathalyzer, even finance stuff. Like my parents didn't help me with that. Like I had to work to get it. They never enabled my behavior. So it was very overwhelming. And I would just say, you know, take it one day at a time. And also, I think physical activity is huge. This is for someone who's, you know, in recovery.
Right.
I had to hike like every day. I had to be out because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions.
Right.
Obviously, I had a therapist that was given to me in drug court. But I think community is huge. Like, you know, you need people that you can relate, that can relate to you and that have hope. You know, so I really think that that's also a really big thing, whether it's church or AA or NA or, you know, whatever help, like any group. I think that that's another big thing. And to write down a list. So when you have it all in your mind, it's so overwhelming.
Scrambled.
And I had to go back to like being a child and just writing everything down. Or I wouldn't say a child, I know people, but, you know, a checklist, like what I want to accomplish this week or this month. And it's amazing feeling to check everything off and be like, okay, got that done. What's my next goal? So I think that that is, you know, anyone early in recovery, I think that that is huge. And then if someone's struggling, I would just say, reach out that, you know, you can do it. You're never too low or in the cycle where you can't, because I literally lost everything. I lost my freedom. I lost, you know, my daughter. I lost custody. I even lost my boyfriend, and I lost all my items. And you can do it.
Yeah.
You're never too far gone to where you can't, you know, change your life around.
Climb out of it.
Come on.
Right.
That's right.
So.
Hell
It's
yeah.
an incredible story. I still can't believe the whole Trinity Ranch thing.
Yeah.
I know. And I'm so glad that they were finally shut down, because the thing with Wyoming is it's such a small town. So the sheriffs and stuff like knew Angie and like the owners. Yeah. It's a very small place and everyone's like connected. And I would check once in a while and be like, how are they not shut down yet? I mean, I never made a report.
Like after you left.
Yeah, like after I
You'd
left,
always be
because
checking
so
and
the
just seeing,
girls
like-
after I came home, the girls ended up stealing the van in like a shotgun and getting arrested. Yeah, because the girls like went crazy.
Right.
And then at the boys' ranch, they ended up beating one of the staff members with like a shovel.
Wow.
Like it got, and I was just like, how is this place still going?
Right.
But I mean, you look at a lot of the reports, because
How many people were there? Like how many girls were there at the
So
same time?
in the beginning, there was only like 6 of us, but then they built like another cabin next door. And so I think it got up to like 12 females. And we would only see the boys at the boys ranch like every Sunday at mass, because we had to go to mass every morning. But like on Sundays, you would see like
together.
you would see the boys too. And I actually still know one of them to this day, because it's like, you know, it was actually one of my stepdad's another doctor's son. So like we actually saw him not that long ago. But yeah, it's pretty.
It was like a place where like affluent families would send their
Yeah.
kids.
Well, they made it look like this,
Wyoming ranch.
Wyoming
We're
ranch. You work with
get your kid on
horses
track
and like
and
all these things. Like
prestigious.
it looks like, I understand looking at it, from my parents' perspective, like why.
Because they're preying on parents that are like, I don't know what the fuck to do with my kid. And they're like, oh, here's how you fix
a
it.
religious ranch where you work with animals and, and so.
And then it's actually just all abuse, you know? So.
And so you were there for 2 years. Would other girls come in and be there just for a few months and leave? Like, did you watch people cycle in and out, and you were just?
I saw a few girls leave before me. I definitely was a harder case for them. I'm a strong personality, but they definitely didn't like that I came from a wealthy family. I can tell that they called me like Hollywood and stuff. They're definitely. I could tell that they were not happy with like my lifestyle where I came from. There is definitely judgment from that. It was like I needed to feel bad about that by comments that they would say, you know? Because like I said, we would have that like holy cow girl every week, and everyone would go around saying what's wrong with you. And they, in their mind, it's like what you need to work on. But
and
it was
like
the
staff and the clients?
Yes.
Or just the staff?
Yes. No, staff
everybody.
and clients, everyone.
And everyone would have
like,
to take a turn.
Yeah. and you just go in a circle.
And you had to say
holding.
something.
Yes.
Like if there was another girl up there and it came to you.
Yeah, you
like
have
you
to
had
say something.
To her.
Yeah, it's so emotionally.
Oh
you're
my
like,
God. And you guys
Yeah.
are probably all upset with each other.
yeah. No, and I had to wear this like shirt. I forgot like what it said. I have some pictures from that time period. It was something about like being prideful or something about vain. But it was something degrading. I tried to like zoom in on the picture to see what it said, because it was like in like a marker. It was something super rude. But just, it was degrading.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to
Yeah,
break
yeah.
you down.
That's what they always say, break you down to build you back up. But it's like,
No,
it
but
just
I even
causes
got
so much trauma.
Yeah, no, and I even got like in trouble. I remember like one of my lambs died because I was in charge of the lambs, and I was like upset about it because we went to get the baby out of the mom and the ewe ended up dying because she got like stuck. And I was emotionally upset, and I ended up like getting in trouble for that and having to run. We would run in front of the vans because I like didn't emotionally handle it correctly. And I wasn't even like, I'm like a big animal person, you know? And I took care of these lambs like since they were babies, and I was upset. And so we would have to run like in the snow in front of the van for like
They
miles.
would drive and follow.
Yeah.
I've got to meet clients that have come, through finding Forest through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning, and then I've seen them, at bonfire or after, and seeing like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having. And this new, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
Or we do pig shifts where we would have to stay up all night to make sure that the mama pig wouldn't roll on the babies, and it was so cold, and there would be like 2 heating lamps for the pigs.
Yeah.
And I remember burning my hands, and you would get in trouble because you try to stay warm.
Yeah.
They would give you nothing. I mean, you had like the big jackets,
Yeah.
but you have to imagine we're down there in the barn when it's like so cold. We have nothing, no blankets, and then you get in trouble. They're like, why is that burn mark on your gloves? And you're like, I'm freezing. Like, I swear I still don't have normal feeling from that time period.
Yeah.
Like, it's just.
What did your parents, after your parents realized what it really was, what was their like?
So I didn't really talk to them about it until about 3 years ago when all this, like when the lawsuits and everything was going on. Like when I came back home, I obviously told them, and my mom to this day, she'll say like, no, I could tell in your eyes, like you were not okay, and that's why I didn't have you go back. But it's like, I don't know.
You were also 18.
Yeah, I was also 18. I'm not going back. But, when this was all going on, it was kind of like a touchy subject because I think she has guilt, as I would understand, unfortunately, like at that time, I would never send my kids anywhere, no matter how bad they are. So that's where we kind of see things differently. But I do know that was a big thing in that time, not to justify their thing, but I knew so many people.
Yeah, it was a different time.
I know so many
Same.
people that got sent away.
My girlfriend at that time, she got sent to a wilderness.
It was just like this popular thing.
Yeah, it's what you did.
Yeah. So it was an easy solution for them. And I believe that they thought I was going to this ranch to work with animals, and it was Christian based and, or Catholic, because we're not Catholic, but I think just it being like the center of God and, I thought that, and them getting my letters, obviously I couldn't tell them what was really going on.
Yeah.
Because I did get in trouble the first time and they were like, you're manipulating, da, 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 da. And that was like a whole thing. And they didn't even know that because I could never tell them that. By the time they would get a letter, it's how
it was washed.
Exactly. So, but I did have a conversation with them before I made the report to the leading detective on it. And my mom, she was supportive. At first, she was kind of shut down just because I think it was, since we haven't talked about it for so long, I think it was kind of like, wait, what? Like, and it's like, I was like, this girl, I think her name's Anna, because I didn't go there with her. Like I said, she went there much later. She reached out to me about the whole case. And then I started kind of like digging back into it. And I you know, that's when I reached out to the detective and I told him my experience and everything that I went through. And then that's when I spoke about it with my mom. And by then she was like, no, I think you should do whatever you need to do. And my stepdad, I've just mentioned to it very quickly during tennis one day, but it was just kind of like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, what matters is just me dealing with it. And I mean, I'm okay. You know, it's just, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So now I just kind of use my experience to help other people. And if anyone else went through something like that. And
is that case still going on with him? Wow.
Yeah.
So
From what I looked last. Yeah, it was on the news and stuff because it just recently like was brought back up. But then so many, I mean, I still talk to the girls that I went there with. Like we also have that connection because it was so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and there was actually one girl that got mad at me recently because she knows I had that connection with that staff member and she's so messed up now from like she's never healed. I can clearly tell.
Yeah, like it really affected her.
And so it's, you know, she actually is kind of a weird situation, but
yeah.
like,
wow.
I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, a lot of the girls are still kind of struggling with it. Yeah.
God damn.
Because I feel like,
crazy.
yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
What happened, and you really got to do the work. I mean, in my recovery, like I had to peel back like all the layers of all the things that I went through. Like on my hardest day, I don't think of drugs or alcohol. You know what I mean? Like it's like an out of body experience when I look at who I was and who I am now. Like, and that's such a blessing from God because I couldn't even go like a few days, you know, when I look back to who I was. And you know, in sobriety, I think you really got to do the work on reprocessing how you deal with emotions, what, you know, your triggers are, implementing new habits. Like there's so many things to recovery. And I feel like, you know, a lot of time, and there's such a world outside of the beginning of recovery that I don't think a lot of people like get
realize,
to that point or realize, you know? But it's like possible if you do the work and like, it's so worth it. So worth it.
Yeah.
You know,
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yay.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm like, there's just so much stuff. I'm like, okay, let's get
I mean, I can't believe at 13 growing up in Laguna, just all the shit you got into so quickly.
I know.
I mean, that's a lot.
I know. I definitely
It's
just
shocking.
wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like, I just wanted to party.
Yeah.
And it went somewhere else,
Yeah.
you know?
The yellow
I feel
Hummer.
like that's what happened.
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
That's
so good.
still, that guy to this day, he obsesses over it. I actually saw him at a funeral for one of my friends like 5 years ago. And he's like,
Remember that time?
I'll never forget you taking my Hummer.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. Cool. Well, I'm glad you came out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So much.